Okay, the camera's rolling.
Wonderful.
So, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you, David?
I'm doing very well.
Awesome. So before we start, I just want to say that New York State requires me to tell you that this is for entertainment purposes
Right.
only. This can be used as a spiritual tool. It can be used as a life coaching tool. And it can be just used as general advice or for entertainment purposes.
Right.
So with that in mind, I have 3 different decks for you to choose from. I have the Enchanted Tarot, I have the Aquarian Tarot, and I have the Cosmic Tarot. And the only difference between the 3 decks is the artist who created the cards.
Okay.
So it is your choice as to which one we use today.
I will use, let's take the middle one.
Alright, this is the Aquarian Tarot, and what I'm going to have you do is shuffle the cards, and there are no rules, you shuffle however you would like.
Okay. Alrighty.
Alright, so before I start, do you have anything specific you would like to ask about, or do you want me to just go ahead and pull and see what comes up?
Just pull and see what comes up.
Alright. Okay, so to start, you as a person, you are an incredibly caring and enigmatic individual. You're someone who has a very tight circle of friends and family, but those people in that circle are very, very loved, and you hold them dear to your heart. You give them unconditionally everything you can, and you do anything you can to protect them.
Yes, my sister, my natural sister lives in North Carolina in Charlotte, and her name is Vanessa, and my adopted sister lives in Virginia.
And so these people are very close to you. But in addition
and
to
then, of course, my parents.
Right. In addition to your family, the friends that you have, you do anything you can to protect them, and you give them all of the compassion in your heart.
Yes, there's a very nice girl, her name is Millie, and I did some wiring for her, and I care a lot about her, and her neighbors bother her like I have some neighbors that bother me.
It's very unfortunate. With that said, though, there is some part of you that is deeply emotional. It's deeply sentimental, and it's not that you stifle these emotions. You actually express them very freely, and you're very good at conveying what it is that you're experiencing and sharing that with other people, but also understanding how they feel and what they're going through. There's something in you that has been calling you to start fresh, and not totally fresh, but to delve deeper into your passions and to put something of your own out into the world. And with that said, you're at this point where you've reached a milestone in some regard. You've kind of seen that the efforts that you've been putting out are coming full circle, and that you're not wasting your time, but rather that you're making large advances one step at a time. This is something that can bring you financial and material well-being, and it's something where it's not quite mastery at it yet. You have some finagling, some finessing to do, but the work that you've been doing is starting to pay off, and you're becoming quite adept at that.
Well, now I do a lot of electrical work at a lower cost than most electricians do.
Wonderful. And so with electrical work, with the YouTube channel and the Facebook and promoting things, you're seeing a lot of success, and things are really starting to take off there, and it's bringing a lot of well-being into your life. So in that regard, there's this is one of the major arcana cards, and major arcana deal with the most significant things in our lives. And so this period of your life is marked by the archetype of hope, and having faith in yourself and faith in the future, and knowing that the things that you are doing right now are bringing you to a very wholesome, healthy, happy place in your life. Now, with that said, business, work, your character, those things are all going very well. I'm going to ask about your health.
Health is good.
Health is good.
I do have diabetes, though.
Okay. Now with that, you have, and I think this is about the diabetes, you have kind of like your back against a wall a little bit with this. And it may have been that there have been some scares. It may be that there have been some changes and some things that, haven't always been the best in terms of health. But I want you to know that those issues are kind of behind you.
Yes, well, the doctor warned me I could have a heart attack, so I cut out a lot of the fatty stuff, and I went from 205 pounds down to 180.
Congratulations on that. Really, genuinely, that's a big step, and it's not easy to make those changes.
No, it isn't.
Especially not in the world we live in, you know, it's
Mhm.
cheaper to buy a cheeseburger than it is to get a salad. It's cheaper to buy a soda than it is to buy juice, and so, you know, there are a lot of things that put us in difficult situations, but you do need to know that your big scares, the major issues, the heart attack opportunities, the things that come with diabetes, those things are not likely to occur based on the changes that you've been making. It's
Now my diabetes numbers have gone down where they should be,
perfect.
but
And
it's
that's
with medicine they would stand up.
right. So know that you don't have to be fearful, and know that the hardest part is over. You've made the big changes, and now it's just a matter of being persistent. With that said, there are things in your life that you've been working at, you've been putting effort into things, and you don't quite know where it's going. This is one of those moments where it's kind of like being Snow White, and you know you can't go back to where you've been, but you're kind of in the woods, and it might be dark, and it's hard to see more than 5 feet in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So right now you're kind of like, you're walking, and you might stumble and fall and pick yourself back up, and you might have some scrapes and bumps and bruises, but know that it can't stay dark forever,
Right.
and that the dark is always preceded by the dawn.
Mhm.
And that once you find your way through the woods, once you finish your Snow White moment and the sun comes up and you clear the forest, that you'll be standing at the edge of a field, and you'll be able to run full steam ahead and have a completely clear vision of what it is that you're doing and where you're going.
Mhm.
In terms of your health, in terms of your productivity, and in terms of your goals and your aspirations. Right now, though, it's kind of a balancing act. It's a little back and forth because there are still some minor issues that you're confronting, and there are still some things that you have to mentally be able to balance. And so, right now, you're kind of walking a tightrope. Know that if you continue on the path that you're on, if you continue to take the steps that you've been taking, you will have no issues in coming out on the other side of this completely free and clear. Another major arcana card, and this is preceding another very positive card. Know that you are headed into a cycle of your life where things are on the up and up.
Mhm.
Kind of think of it like looking at a clock,
Yeah.
and it's like 9 o'clock right now.
Yeah.
Once you hit midnight, once you get to 12 o'clock, you can stay at the top for as long as you'd like.
Yeah.
As long as you continue to put 100% into you, you can stay at the top of this cycle. And it doesn't mean that there won't be things that come up that are difficult. It won't mean that you won't go through hard times. But again, this period of your life is marked by prosperity. It's marked by well-being. And when the Wheel of Fortune comes up, it is exactly that. It is that there are ups and downs, and life is cyclical. But right now, this is your time. Your time to shine, your time to be successful, and your time to be healthy and happy. That
So what's this here?
That is a crystal ball, otherwise known as an orb. This is made out of quartz crystal, and it's used for scrying or remote viewing. And what I mean by that is you can hold it, you can gaze into it, and your eyes may glaze over, and you may see a clear as day image. You might see a small light impression. You might see colors. But basically, this is used to enhance your psychic vision, and it helps you to open up your mind's eye so that you can have a clear, direct insight as to where you're going and what's happening. Would you like for me to see if anything comes up for you with the orb?
Yes.
Okay. So it might take me a moment, and I'm just going to kind of stare into this for a second quietly. So the first thing that comes up is the color blue. And the color blue has a few different meanings. One is that you're being called to attune to yourself spiritually. There are things in your life that are beyond the mundane. They're beyond the average, everyday rigmarole. And it might be emotional, it might be spiritual, it might be about God, it might be about your higher self, it might be about connecting with loved ones who have passed. But you're being called to access some higher knowledge. You're being called to access deeper parts of yourself to make your life a little bit more fulfilling. Not to say that it isn't, but there's more for you to uncover. The next thing I have for you, and I have no clue what the symbolism of this is, I don't have my book in here, but I see a penguin. And so when we finish the reading, I'm going to pull out my animal book and I'll look up penguins, because there might be some wonderful symbolism regarding the penguin for you. And we'll pull that up in a little while. The next thing is, it's funny you keep having birds. I see a peacock.
Oh, I love flying an airplane.
Do
It's
you?
easier than driving a car. I took driver's ed, it was too hard, and I went to Syracuse Flight School and I took some flight lessons, and it's easier than driving a car.
The other thing though with peacocks, and this I know a little bit about, it's time for you to flaunt your stuff. Something in me tells me that you may have dealings with feeling self-conscious, or dealings with having doubts about yourself, or maybe a lack of confidence. The peacock struts his stuff. He shows his feathers, and it's not only fine feathers that make fine birds. There is something in you that is innately beautiful that you haven't really held on to and loved and ran with. And so it's time for you to truly embrace all of yourself, to unconditionally love the person you are, and to go out there and have a little pomp and circumstance, to have a little strut in your step, and to know that you are as beautiful outside as you are inside. And the things that you do, the things that you put out into the world, you should be proud of them, and you should wear your skin with confidence. Last but not least, for today's reading, and this is a short one just for time's sake, but this is again about spirituality. And this is telling me that there is in you some innate psychic gift. There is some, again, spiritual calling. There's work that you're meant to do that's not with your hands, but it's with your heart and with your mind, that you can share with other people. So whether it be using a crystal ball, pulling tarot cards, having a fine sense of intuition, any number of things, but there's something that you're called to do. You can come here to find it, you can go online and do research, and you may just happen across something one day that really calls to you. In my case, it was an old deck of tarot cards that was just waiting for me to find it. So there's a connection to the divine that you're being called to. But it's also about groups. It might be attending a church. It might be joining a yoga class. It might be any number of things, but there is a place for you to learn and to grow and to develop your sense of spirituality and your psychic gifts. Last but not least, you're a very busy bee, and you need to remember to rest, to recharge yourself. This is a period of respite coming to you, and it's a time for you to really not completely lay back, not to do nothing, but for you to take the mental space to recharge yourself so that you can be the best you that you want to be. With that said, do you have any questions or anything you'd like to ask about?
Okay, I thought when they do psychic readings, they look at your hand and do that.
Some people do palm readings. I actually have never studied the palms, and I have never really dabbled into astrology. Those are two subjects that have been difficult for me to approach. Some people do read palms. Some people scry, some people use cards, some have runes. I'm studying tea leaves. I'm studying astrology. I have some books on palmistry, but I haven't really delved into that so much.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, David. I appreciate you coming in.
Yes.